Hello, welcome back. Just get myself situated as I can't see my camera. Here we go. Right, welcome. Happy New Year 2026. We're going to be doing a lot of streams this year. We're going to try and do them more frequently and with a little bit more scheduled nature, a little bit more organized. I'm Rev Harnell. I work at UX is Fine as a technical UI designer, and over the last couple of streams we've been working on this gallery for an FPS where we've set up some pings, we've set up some radio menus, and today we're going to be setting up some loot. So let's get the title in here, Loot UI, and then the description. So I'll just pop a description in here. Let's have a look. So loot beams, loot pop-ups, and more. Yep, loot UI, loot beams, loot pop-ups, and more. Let's take a look at some references real quick. So welcome to the planning page here. There's a lot of stuff on here. These are the things that we've done in the past. We've done all sorts of stuff on the channel, and we're going to be doing some more. There's a bunch of planned ones here I haven't got to yet. But right now we're working on this, making some loot, right? So we're going to try and do these loot beams today. We're going to set up ourselves a widget that shows when we are looking at an object in close proximity. And we are going to try and do that maybe with a view model framework. I've got a couple of reference shots here. This is an asset pack from the Unity asset store. I really like these beams here. You can create something similar to that. Really small image here. We've got this one, and we've got sort of like this one from Borderlands. We're going to pop this one open real quick. I'm just going to zoom in on that. Okay, so let's get started with actually creating our widget. Before we do that, let's jump into our level and take a look at where we were recently. So we started off with a ping system that hugs the screen if you want it to. It's an option. It's got some meters that you can see there. Hide these as well, and then you've got a radio menu that apparently is going to give me an issue. Radio menu is not valid. Funny. Let's go and fix that real quick. Oh, interesting. It's a bug. There is a bug. Class is unknown, which means it's being cleared. This is like exactly how demonstrations should be. Widget radio menu comes from a radio ping. So we use gas for this project. Radio menu comes from a gameplay ability called radio, if I remember. So here we have L radio pings. Let's have a look here. Create radio menu. Let's debug this real quick. Boop. Comes in, says, hey, yeah, we do have a default radio. Oh, apparently no, we don't. Well, default radio actually needs to have a property. So there we go. Easy to fix. That, press play. Okay, radio menu. Awesome. Let's just pretend that last 5 seconds didn't happen. Okay, so we've got a radio menu. We can play with these as well. We also have these pings here. Gameplay ability system for GA ping. Got these. This is how they look when they pop up on screen. See that by just pressing the button. And then we've also got the ability to tab on different things. So this is loot. What we got here? Ammo of some kind. And in this case, if I remember, we have a weapon. As long as you actually hit the weapon. Cool. And then we've got these examples of different radios. So we've got our default radio. We've got this one inspired by Isolation, I believe it was, at the end of the last stream that we did. And then we've got just examples of different radio setups here. So that's pretty cool. And today, let's get started on some loot UI. We've got this image here. It's going to have this white border. It's going to have this inset here. Vertical box handling the black and the rarity color. and then it's going to have some images and it'll have some text. Probably ignore this bottom section. We'll just go with the body here, and then we'll add some key bindings as well. So let's get started on actually creating that. So over in our FPS, we got oops, just made a new foliage actor. Awesome. Ping system, radial system. Let's do loot system. Go in here, make a new UI folder, and just set up our initial user interface widget blueprint. User widget underscore loot pop-up. Just try and do this real fast. So I'm going to change the fill screen here to desired, and then get myself an overlay to start with. Actually, let's change this to custom. This is the size that we're gonna work on here. Custom on screen? No, custom. Why is it giving me a problem? Okay, cool. Custom size. I'm just gonna pop it open to around here for now, and I'll work on this sizing a little bit later. But for now, we can just get started on the appearance. So that will be us for the next half an hour. We will build this little UI here. So let's start off with just setting up the core. So before I get any further, actually, I'll show a little bit of process that I sometimes do. See if we can pop open Figma ? Sign into Figma. Can't because I don't have my password saved, so we can't do that. Basically, usually my process would be taking a screenshot of this and shoving it into the engine firstly, but also if I actually have a Figma, I'll probably go and take a look at the sizings of all these elements, and what I was about to do was go and create those for myself so I can have a look at this. But when we look at this, we can see that there is a vertical layout where there's a top panel, and inside that top panel we'll have a horizontal box that has these different interaction elements. Then we've got another horizontal box here that hosts an image with a vertical element, and then it's got a bunch more elements. Another way you can do this is through a grid panel, so you can just grid all of this up and be done with it. So we could try the grid panel method. So let's try that. Let's take ourselves a grid. Make that full size, and then let's take ourselves a border for that top border, which is going to be full column span, possibly. Column span. Huh? Not gonna let me do it. Immediately just doesn't want to let me do what I want to do here. I have a border. So this might be bugged. Okay, what other panels have we got? I might be using the wrong one. I'm in an older version of Unreal. No, it's a grid. Works fine. Look, I can nudge it. It's not doing what I want it to do. So usually this would then pad the full size, but it's not doing it today. It's literally just sat there. Huh. I wonder why. Push it around. Push it around. Okay, well, we're not going to use a grid panel. It basically ends that discussion, so we'll go with a vertical box. Border. Pop the border in here, fill. Okay, now this is getting ridiculous. Why? There we go, right. Now that makes me wonder if I just did do that. Grid panel in the overlay, full size. Column and row fill, let's just go with 1. Let's take our border here, collapse this, paste it in. Okay, cool. Now we have, right, okay, so border top. This will be the sort of transparent black border that we want to represent firstly. So we'll take a color here, come down to about 70% opaque. And then we'll get ourselves a second color in here, the grid panel. Do grid fill, we're down by 1. Oh yeah, it's really not giving me a good time. Okay, we're just going to ignore it. Okay. So for our border top, we're going to need some action. Need some common action widgets. We're also going to need to wrap this with a horizontal box, and we're going to need some text. I'm going to take that text from widget underscore ping. I've already set up like a kind of start of an art style. Should really use common UI and common text to make this a little bit easier. Isn't the correct font? Which is hilarious. Okay, we'll go with this font here. So this will be, well, this will be action, because it will be either equip or pick up, depending on the context. Just move this over a little. Okay, and then here, I want an enhanced input action. We have ping. It's not what we're going to use. We've got an E action here. So we've got dark actions in the game, which isn't necessarily what I would have wanted. I kind of want light actions. And this is kind of one of the, I would say, drawbacks of the common UI and action system, because in order to change that, you actually need to go and change the foundations, is it? Or maybe it's in input prompts, common UI. We have this gamepad set up here. Actually, it's not gamepad, is it? We're looking at PC right now. So we've got this keyboard asset that shows us our icons. And we're actually using the dark theme. And so as soon as I go change it, it's going to change it across the game. And I don't have an ability to change that. So in a future stream, I'll show a tool that I made that allows you to actually change that. Sort of an extension. We do want these white ones in this case. So I'm going to go apply that to our project. I'm not too worried right now about how that's going to look, because we don't have anything else that needs it. It's massive, so let's make sure that we set the size. Let's go 24 by 24. Which is now minuscule, so we'll go 32 by 32. File that. Press this down. Actually, we might have needed that ping hover. Let's make sure we take a reference for this for a little bit later. Okay, that'll do anyway. So we have an E action. I don't want it to be bigger. Being a little bit choosy right now. Okay, that's cool. Wonder why it's slightly grayed out as well though. So I'm not graying it out here, but it does appear grayed out. I'm guessing maybe this has its own transparency. Could be the reason for that. Let's check. Let's just change the color of this background. No, it's just grey. Why is it grey there? white here, it's white here, it's white here, and then it's grey here. Okay. Again, not going to worry too much right now. Alright, let's copy this action and move it over to the other side. Copy this text as well. Call this ping, in this case, and we'll actually set this to fill on the right. Change, so that is ping. We'll change this to the middle mouse. So now we have the two different actions. We'll just pad this from the right slightly, so got that. Okay, so that's our horizontal box set up. Let's make sure that we name our text blocks. So ping, text block action, say common action widget action. What a great name. Action ping. Okay. What was the last thing that I wanted to do in here? Question. Obviously nothing. So let's go and do the border fill now. So this wants to be set to fill. And inside here is a text block. And this fill actually wants to have a gradient. So let's go and create a quick gradient material. m_UI_gradient. And then we'll make a child of that. mi_UI gradient loot fill. We'll apply that here. So now we have this material. The domain, it just popped up with a question saying, hey, it needs to be the UI domain. I clicked the prompt and now it's automatically in the UI domain. Now what we can do is go and grab our UVs and break them. And if I just plug the G channel in, you can see you get this fade. And I'm just going to do something really simple here and just lerp using this between two colors. So here we'll convert this to color A and color B. Color A, I'll go for sort of a bronze color. Color B, I'll go for a kind of nice saturated color here. So you get this kind of fade. Now we want to be able to control how this curve works. So let's get a power node in here and a multiply. And then we'll clamp this, or saturate also works. Plug that in here. And then if I hold S and tap, I can get some scalars, and we'll just call this what they are. So in this case, power. I'll just do default 2. And then multiply. Oh right, yeah, so S click multiply. This will be 2. That will give us a little way of controlling this. Now, a little bit more power would be to also add something to this. So if we added 0.1, 0.5 would be more obvious. You can see it moves the curve. We could add negative 0.5 if we want to move that curve down. So let's get add in here. That'll sort us, I think, enough. So let's go and take a look at, if we open up our material instance that we made, we can move this up and down, we can control how fall off works, we can move this up and down as well. So that's pretty cool. I want something a little bit like this. In fact, I want this bronze color to be a little darker. Something like that, question mark maybe. Okay, so back in our loot, we need to change the brush color to be full again. I do want to drop the opacity on this just ever so slightly. And right now what we're seeing is that it actually doesn't have an effect on the material. The reason for that is that this is not set to transparent. I know that this particular instance needs to be transparent, so in the overrides I'm actually going to change this to translucent here. Now over in our loot pop-up you can see that actually has an effect, so that's now working. Let's go for 0.75 again. In my reference I can see that behind everything is a blur, and I want to represent that blur as well. So I'm going to wrap all of this in a blur panel. Yeah. I'm just going to put it to 4 strength or 5 strength. So that should work out pretty well. And then next, I don't actually need this overlay anymore. Well, I do, because I definitely am maybe going to be overlaying something. We'll see. Okay, the next thing that appears in our reference is a horizontal box that holds an image. So let's do a wrap with on the element that's within our fill. We'll wrap that with a horizontal box. Let's make sure that this is fully aligned, so we have a nice representation there. I'm then going to wrap this with a vertical box because I know we have some vertical elements. Again, I'm going to wrap this with a horizontal. I know that that is going on there. Let's just move my camera. Okie dokie. So, I need to sort this chair out. This chair's arms are way too high. Okay, so we have got a horizontal box that's going to contain, let's just call this text block category, and she's going to duplicate that. Just work on this text block quickly. I want this to be a little bit simpler. We'll go for Roboto. I'm going to remove the overlay. So, or the outline. You can see there's a black outline on there. Not a big fan. Get rid of the outline. Default for this can be weapon. Its text transform policy is to upper. I don't want a transform policy in this case. And I'm going to colorize this for now, just for visual purposes. Just going to pop some colors in here. Then we've got we'll put a little divider in between these. So let's go 2 on the divider, and we'll give it some padding from the left and right. Just give that a little bit of color. In fact, the same color. Use the same color as we have here. I might go 3. 2 is good. Go brush color here, paste that. That's something cool going on there. What have we got here? So this is actually this element is going to be several elements of a similar design for traits. So I'm just going to call this text block trait, and I'm going to go and make us a new user interface widget blueprint. Widget underscore loot trait. And inside here we have our text block. I'm going to change the size to desired and wrap this with a border. Full border going on there. And for this border, I actually want to draw it as a rounded box. And then I want to change the corner radius. So let's go width. Can I change that? Yeah, but it breaks some of the representation. Fixed radius. It's good. 4 units all the way around. And then I want to give this a black trim. Well, firstly I want it to be transparent. But I do want to give it a black trim, so I need to figure out how to do that. Outline here, yeah, black trim, cool. Okay. There we go, something like that. And I want the center to be transparent. Okay, and then this will be something like assault rifle. And I want to make sure that this has like a minimum width, right? So we'll go to the, check out the Minimum text. I don't seem to be able to find minimum desired text width. Go with this wide, and then we need to set the justification to the center. So now we have this. The actual trim for this outline isn't thick enough. So let's just bring it to be white. It's looking pretty good. I like that. I don't like the font style though. So Auto medium. That looks nice. And I'm going to get rid of the outline as well. Okay. So now we have this little loot trait. We can just pop this in here. Let's get a new horizontal box for our loot traits. Make sure that we name it horizontal box traits. Make it a variable. In fact, we want this to be a list view. It's going to be easier to use a list view. Okay, so we've got a list here. Pop that in. No entry widget class. Yeah, so for a list view, what we need to do is actually add an interface to this class. That's a list view object. So list or list user object list entry. All that does is allows us to say event object set, and from that object we can store information, for example the title of this. All that, go back to our loot pop-up and select our loot trait. You see it's vertically aligned right now, so let's go and make sure that this is horizontal. File. That's looking good. We need a little bit of padding on these, and it's also enormous. So let's go and change a couple of things. Let's do the font size. Let's bring this right down. Go for 16 here. Size of this divider is also huge, but that's only because the AR text is also huge. Let's bring this down to 16. Now the width is too much. Back down. It's looking good. Okay. Now we need a little bit of padding. So let's go horizontal spacing 6 units. It's looking nice to me. Okay. Let's get this centered. This is starting to get lost in the coloring, I will say. What do we do with this? Make it brighter? Sure. Not going to be good for colorblind people. Okay, so that's our horizontal box category. And we're going to have our text block name. This will be a full text style, very bright. Give it a larger size here. So we'll call this something like the R505. I have a music system over there. The R505 salt. This, we can uppercase this. Upper. Good, and then we'll take this, stick it in our vertical box and call this TB_description. Just say something like full auto high accuracy. Okay, so that's our text block. I think 5 entries here is probably never going to happen. So we'll go with 3 entries. It's probably about as many as we'll ever have. And then we just need a lazy image. We'll use this common lazy image here. Put that into our horizontal box. Center aligned, and let's set both of these elements to fill. Now you can see that these take up all the space. I want the image to take up only half the space, maybe even less. If we click the matching ants up here, we should be able to actually see. It's not great. Let's bring the horizontal box into the middle. Do this a little bit better. This is 1x scale. Might want to bring this a little bit. I changed the size of this image as well. So let's go in here and just say 256 by 256. That's not going to work. 128 by 128. Oh, I see. This needs to be auto-sized. There we go. And then it needs to have a little bit of padding from the right. So we'll say like 50, 20. Okay, cool. That's our image. I do actually have a weapon image in the radio system, ping system, maybe? This one. Let's just use this as a reference for a second, and I think it's actually 256. Yeah, okay. So we'll go 128 by 64. Really cool, but it's not quite what I want. I know it's 2 by 1 is the main thing. So let's try 200 by 100. It's looking pretty good, and then I think we can reduce the padding a little. We are losing the text of the lower color because the radiant fill is not dark enough. So let's go change that second color to just be like so. Change this color to be a little darker again. That's looking pretty cool. Now the one last thing that adds that little bit of polish to this is just some visual effects over the top. So well, another thing is actually adding a border to the whole thing. So let's add a border first. Let's wrap this with a border. We'll just call this border edge. This will be an image that is a box, a border. And its margin will be 0.5. You can see now we've got this little border going on. So let's set the padding to 2. Actually can't see it on the left. So one thing that I noticed with these borders is you can't control the size of that pixel. It's just one pixel. So what we need to do is go and create ourselves another material. So let's go do that real quick. I'll duplicate this UI material. I'll just call it MUI frame. And in here what we'll do is we'll just get rid of, we'll keep, I'll tell you what, we'll keep the lerp. The lerp is pretty cool. But what we need to do for the opacity, just change this here to translucent. What we need to do for the opacity is actually cut out the center. So one way that you can do that is by getting the... How do you do this? 1 second. How do you do this? Actually forgotten. You get the UVs and you basically scale them by center. Let's just try it real quick. UVs, scale by center. If we use UV4, that is actually the UI UVs. You can also just use user interface UVs here. Let's just use this one. Normalize UVs, scaled by center. And the scale, in this case, it's going to be a single S vector. So we'll call this edge size, I guess. And we'll just say scale it down by 0.1. And then we have this mask that we get. And so from here what we can do is we can say, well firstly we can just say use that as the opacity mask. Cool. Let's just scale this down. Edge size. Yeah, we need to do a 1 minus on here. So the edge size is 0.1 or 0.05. Wait, no, have I done that the wrong way around? I think I have done that the wrong way around. So then we would 1 minus this. And now we have a border that has like a cool look. And you can do more with this, right? You could do an outside, inside, and then a fill, and you could do a whole lot more work to expand on this. I'm just going to now go and create a material MI UI frame. Cool thing about this is that it's UV based, so it shouldn't matter how big I make the asset, it should always be pretty good. So let's go in here and make this sort of a grey, and then make this second one sort of a whiter. It's this cool kind of look. And you can also rotate the UVs. So you can come in here and put a custom rotator in. Create an angle variable by tapping S and create an angle, and it'll say just want to do 30 degrees, and then you divide this by 360 to turn it into 0 to 1 space. Plug that in, go and take our UVs that have been normalized, plug that in, and then we rotate the entire thing, which is not what we wanted to do. No, sorry, yeah, I'm rotating the wrong bit. That's the frame. So one thing to stop you from doing that is create a comment. It's just by tapping C. Coming over here, does N do a... Now create a named reroute node. We'll just call this frame. And down here, we'll create a new named reroute. Actually, no, we'll just do frame. So the opacity is the frame, in this case, and then here, named reroute, we'll just do color. So that will stop us messing up next time, because we've organized our stuff. Color. Don't apply the angle logic to the frame. That would be silly. We want to apply the angle logic to the UVs, not just the R channel. Break those rotated UVs, and now you can see the color starts down here and ends up here. We can see it a lot better in the actual end result. So if we go to angle here, you can see me sort of moving this, and one cool thing you can do is you can actually animate this in your widget, and that will create a cool effect of like, you know, a sheen going around the asset. So that's pretty cool. Let's just keep that at 30. Let's put that back into our pop-up now. So in our border edge, let's go and take our MUI frame, smash that in. Not doing what I want, of course. So let's go to edge here. Let's change this to box. Hide everything else quickly. Okay, part of this. So you can see here, it's not doing what I want. So we can fix that here. Let's try the 9 slice UVs. Yeah, you can see now that's actually updated. Now we can control the pixel thickness, right? So we go into our frame, and we have the material instance. We can have a look in here, and we can say, I want my edge size to just be slightly larger. You can see that it's actually still not quite true to what I've been saying. Oh yeah, that box messes it up a little bit. I suppose it is relative to the size of the box. No, it's not. It's a trick of the eye. I think it's because of the white. I'm not sure that's doing what I want it to do. I think it needs an aspect ratio control. One sec. aspect ratio math is just height divided by width divided by height? I can't remember. Divided by height. Okay. Break. Try this real quick. Width divided by height. And then multiply the normalized UVs by this, and then plug this into the UVs, and then apply that, and then go back to our loot pickup. No, that didn't do it. It's the other way around. It's really not giving me a great time. Strange. Also, it's cutting it now. Also, now it's even worse. Why is that? Compile? So obviously what I've done to the material is a complete travesty of math, and we're not going to do it. We're just going to accept it for now. There'll be some tutorials online how to do that properly. I've obviously done it wrong. Oh well. Moving on. We do have what we wanted. Kind of. I'm curious where this I don't understand why the border edge. Oh, it's because it's opacity baked. Okay. So zooming back out now. Just resizing this to whatever. What we're seeing right now is that my border edge is way too thick. Say 0.05, 0.01. Good. No, doesn't like that. 0.01. Okay. Then yeah, we're really getting a completely broken thing here. Let me just check out UI box, UI SDF box. Take the UVs. Well, we'll take. It's a UI SDF box. Why would I need to plug anything in? Yeah, it has default values. Stroke thickness, I think we called edge size. We'll rename it. Stroke thickness sounds way better. Or just stroke thickness. Yeah, cool. Plug that down here. What's going on here? You changed the image scaling X of the border, mate. Oh yeah, you are right. I did do that. Border edge, right? Yeah. 32. Compile. Good guess though. Good guess. I appreciate the guess. So this material function here comes from the Epic Material Lab, Unreal Material Lab, and so then you'll get a. In this case, you'll get an outline, which we could use as the frame. The scale is off by half. So let's multiply this by 2. 0.5. 1. It doesn't like it at all. Let's try 1. Ah, there we go. So I guess this size vector 2 is 0.5, 0.5 by default. Now we're using the SDF box. Let's see if that's done it. I don't know if it has. No, it hasn't. It's just a problem in the other direction. No one has the answer. I actually have an F width. So an F width is possibly a way to fix this. So let's go try it. F width. I've done it in the radial menu recently. So let's go to the radial system, style. Oh no, materials. Radial system, materials. Oh, so many materials. Is the F width in this arc? Did I do F width in here? I did not. Did I do F width in here? Where did I write my F width math? So Now we get to look at a really cool resource real quick. There is a YouTube channel called Joyrock. YouTube. Who is actually one of the UI devs at Unreal. Joyrock here. They have an f-width. They have an f-width video. Pixel perfect outlines here.
Hello, everyone.
So we'll just scroll. So this is the snippet that we care about. But yeah, Joyrock, very cool. It, I believe, is Adrian Pugh. Is the name? They are called Adrian Pugh. Don't ever let them see that I said it. Okay, so back into our material. Let's try this one more time for feeling. Good. With feeling. Okay, so we mask out, I assume, the normalized UVs. In which case I'm not going to do that, I'm going to break it. This is simpler. And then we're going to DDX DY off of this. Gets the difference. And then absolute these. And then we will add them together. And then we will multiply it, I believe, by our stroke thickness. Say is, because it's pixels now, so we'll say 10 pixels. Plug that into stroke thickness. F width. Apply. Come on. Okay, it's looking like something. No, it's still it's still based on the aspect ratio, but you can see now that as I zoom in and out, that border is somewhat based on pixel space, which is kind of cool. I'm unsure about right now. I think it's actually, yeah, look at this, it's actually filling the space. Oh, I made it massive. So let's just go 20, that seems fine. Let's go and get our background here. I do want it to be 2 pixels, please. Oh, how annoying. That doesn't work either. Now this is a problem I want to solve. This is a problem I would like to solve. Let's try these UVs. Look at that. Slices it real good there. Let's do the slice of the box. Okay. Do with this here, 0.4. Okay, let's try border. What if I just say image? Oh, there we go. Look at that. Right, we've got some sort of softness happening. And let's go fix that. So I think the whole problem, the whole time, I mean, if I go back here now, compile that, I think the problem the entire time is that I was using box or image in here, which was messing up the logic. So I could go back now to this logic, which was like dead simpler. Come in here and give myself, oh no, this is broken. So good to know. This is broken. Probably use the non-slice UVs. So this F-width logic that's on that Joy Rock channel that I showed. So this is the channel again. Look at that. Got all my drum and bass. Okay, and then that's gonna look good. So let's go with, I think it was outline, compile, and get rid of this logic. We can just pop this here. Go back to our loot pickup. Oh yeah, so we want to fix this this gradient, right? So let's go to the frame, and when we make this frame here, just multiply it by 100 and then saturate it. So we're basically blooming out all those values so that we don't get a gradient fade. Ta-da! Don't know why it's not the values that I would have liked, but it's 8 pixels. Pretty cool. Okay, so wait, what? As I zoom out, oh, it stays at that. Yeah. Okay. Well, we need to look at this at 1 times. Okay, 2 pixels, please. Yeah, because I did 2 pixels of padding. Cool. Right. Annoying that when I now zoom in, it's going to do that. I wonder if F-width is working against us now. So let's just do stroke thickness, apply, loot pickup, bring it down. Yeah, this is actually better. I actually don't want it to be locked based on 2.01, 0.0085, 0.0075. This is the worst. I don't want to be dealing in, no one wants to deal in this much fractional. So yeah, that's kind of lame, but I want to be able to zoom in and sort of inspect elements without it breaking. I would say breaking, but 2 options there. F-width option, pretty cool. Works if you want to do at any zoom level, basically. In this case, I want to zoom in and it not create a massive glow behind my asset. Okay, so back to my reference image. Border. It's a lot cooler than I thought originally. So let's go 0.005 here. File that back to our MUI frame that we're using. So this is our instance. We're in here. I want color B to kind of be this bright yellow. So that's cool, right? Look at that glow down there. Very cool. Darken the top just a little. Why is that happening now? Oh, I've got an angle. I don't want an angle. I want to power multiply this a little bit. So let's mess with these values until I get something that that's what I want here. Okay. Kind of ugly. Really soft. Yeah, sure, that'll do. Cool little radial. Gradient, I should say. Okay, so now we have this element. All I need to do is give it an actual native size, so we'll say 550 by 280. 570 might be nicer. Then we've got a weapon that can appear here in this region. Got some padding from all sides. It's all looking rather good. The only thing that I would need to do is make sure that this text is wrapping. Because if this text doesn't wrap, then we're screwed. Thank you so much for this series. No worries. Yeah, it's good fun. I wonder if Epic will ever overhaul UMG to be more intuitive like Figma. I find Unreal, I mean, you can see me whipping through it. It's just like, but sure, yeah. There are some things, but the level of control you get when it's all math driven and rules driven, like, I'd say it's fairly malleable. Yeah, so this is allowed to wrap now. Wrap text at, don't really want to mess with that. But if the text was like assault rifle extraordinaire, then it just doesn't work, of course. Always when you demo it, there we go, right. Assault rifle extraordinaire, look at that, perfect. That's exactly crap. Should reduce all the text sizes again. Is this still looking ugly? I am not a Figmaized. I am not a layout. Yeah. Close enough. Yeah, and of course now when we zoom out, it's going to attempt to wrap every time. Can't do anything about that. We're going to stop there. That is the setup for the loot tooltip. Let's get it in game. Okay, so closing everything down. Would you like to save the changes of your yes, I would like to save the changes of my modified material. Okay, so we got this. We'll take this gun here. Move this over here. Now, we just... Oh, sorry, 1 second. Yep. So now we need to get that on screen. There's a couple of ways that we can do that. We can either have a sort of orchestration, or you could just call it a manager or a factory or something that basically is a screen that listens to you looking at a gun and says, oh, you looked at a gun? I want to show, or I want to update the widget that's on my screen, and then update that position of that element in 2D space so that it matches, so that you end up with a widget that sort of like sits, you know, maybe you want it like bottom left aligned, right? And as you look around the scene, it moves with you. You could do that with that orchestration widget, and you could control that one widget's position around the screen. Another way that you could do it, and is the way cheaper, wait, I say cheaper, it's cheaper on time, is to just add a component to this actor. Now, it comes with a cost, right? There's a component on that actor now. That component needs to decide, or something needs to decide when that component shows and hides this widget. So I think I'm going to go for the cheap option. I'm going to go for the one that's like, oh yeah, it's just a thing in world space. I was thinking more of things like the stroke border topic. Yeah, just being able to add a perfectly crisp border would be nice. Yeah, we got there eventually, but yeah, you have to be a technical artist to get there. So I totally see what you're saying. It's like, why can't it be foolproof? Why can't it just be simple? Why doesn't it exist already? Like, one thing that I've just realized about the styling of my asset is that this is just me being really picky right now, is yeah, I need a full width. Oh, look at that. It's just ever so slightly off. Now I need to go back to my material and change the... Wait, is this the right one? It's not the right one. This one. Now I need to go and change this by like smidgens. No? Okay. It's not going to let me do it by smidgens. Minus? I don't want minus. 0.445. I prefer to do it in the material there. Okay, this color, this height 4, no, 1, 4. Bigger, stronger, faster. Boom. That's cool. Right. Don't know why. Just being a little bit anal there. A little bit picky, a little bit OCD. Right, we are 1 hour and 2 minutes in, which means we've got 10 minutes left on the mix that we're playing. So let's get this thing drawing on the screen. Let's make a blueprint for loot. How do I get to my loot? I've just closed everything. Loot system. New folder. Blueprints. Blueprints. I'm going to create a new blueprint class that is a widget component. So this will be a BP loot widget component. I'll add that to this. Obviously you would do this in a blueprint, but I'm just going to do it for speed. A loot widget component that will draw a loot widget when I find the properties. Here we go. Loot, pop up. In this case it's drawing like in that angle. What we'll do is we'll add some code to the panel to make it look at us. So draw size, I want desired. Oh, manually redraw. No, draw a desired size. Cool. Details. Is this? Yeah, this is parallel with the gun at least, so that's cool. Let's turn this gun around. It's like the simplest way to fix this is to just turn this gun this way for now, so that I can see the size and scale. There should be a pivot. There should be a pivot. Yeah, the pivot's here, see? So I'm going to go 0, 1. Actually, I'm going to go 0. Yeah, 0, 1. Yeah, cool. And slightly off to the right. And just scale. This is drawing a desired size. Which means it's drawing at like, what was it? 500? So you got to think of this as like an actual render texture. Like it has to render this, and then it puts it on a plane. But anyway, I need to scale it down. So we can lock this here and scale this down. Cool. I guess what I've just realized is I never actually I said 570 by 280, but I never actually enforced it in any way. So what you can do to enforce that is just wrap this in a size box. I shouldn't. I should use the component in this case, but I'm gonna wrap this in a size box because I'm lazy. Oh. So now this is looking a little bit better. Then just scale it down even further. So okay, so this is our asset, and then in our component that we made, what we can do on tick, we could basically branch and add a property called active. Yeah, I mean, sure. The component has a property called active already. Set active. Set enabled. Set component. Tick enabled. Sure. We'll actually do it this way. So we're going to turn the tick off on this by default. And the good thing about that is that you can have a bunch of these in your scene. None of them are ticking. When it is ticking, we'll get the find look at rotation, and we'll get the player's view. How do you get the player's view? Get camera manager. Yeah, get the camera manager. Location. So it's going to rotate from the get world location. It's been a while since I've done blueprint. Right, get the world location there. And that's the rotation that we want. Set world rotation. not ticking by default. So we need to turn the tick on in some way. And then this will run and it will make sure that that widget faces us. And then we could add clamps and things if we feel like it's a bit weird, but let's go with that for now. Don't need this active function. Okay, so we need a custom event, I guess. Set inspected, which will just enable the tick for now. Maybe it'll do other stuff, but we'll set it to be inspected. And the other thing that this loot widget component needs, and this is getting really lazy now, so typically you would have a blueprint that's a weapon, it has some data, and then this will inherit a reference to that data, or have a view model that points at the data and says like, the weapon has the data, that's the data I'm using, or a tag, or you could use a gameplay tag to hook those things together. What I'm going to do is just put the variable directly in here just for the sake of speed. So we'll call this like weapon data. And we actually don't have a weapon data right now. Actually, we'll call this loot data because it's a little bit more generic. We actually don't have one. So let's go make a blueprint class. It will be a primary asset, primary data asset. We'll go data underscore loot. In here, this is where we're going to populate all of our settings in terms of name and stuff. So we're going miscellaneous here, data asset. We've got some loot data now. Let's go da underscore loot a. So loot rifle, loot shotgun, stuff like that, right? Do one more loot. We'll do loot ammo, I guess. And then that goes in as a pointer to here. So this is loot data, object reference, variable that's visible for now because we're just testing, just like rapidly prototyping. And the class will just be like rifle or something, right? So we'll just use rifle. It ticked. Why did it tick? It's ticking. Why is it ticking? I turned the tick off. I can't undo this now. I'm now stuck in this infinite loop. Accessing and trying to read the camera manager. Yeah, I get that. Can I stop this now? Edit. Right. FPS edit. Project setting. I can't even edit the project settings to turn off the feature that is causing it to do this, which is break on blueprint exception. I can't even do that. It'd be really cool if I could close any of this stuff. So this is one of those moments of Unreal that is like, oh great, can't escape this infinite death loop. And I'm going to need to close the engine, and my level isn't saved. But hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. So we'll go back and we'll find out where we got to. Happy New Year, everyone, by the way. Well, I've got 2 seconds to breathe. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, great. It's just going to infinite loop, like as soon as I open the editor. My God. Okay, so there is still one way to fix this. We can still fix it. It's possible. There's an editor preference that I have enabled that says break on blueprint exception. It's breaking because for some reason the component is ticking despite we're not in play mode. So teaches me. Right. What do we need to do here to get this to work? We need to go to the project. LPSP UI configs. So we're in the configs now. Editor? Control F break? No. Okay, next best thing. Ask Google. Where is the break on blueprint exception INI config for UE5? Editor preference. I know that. I know it's in the editor preferences. Project saved config platform editor. Okay. So saved. Saved folder. I mean, you could just delete your saved folder at this point and that would fix it. Windows editor, editor per project user settings, Control F break, break on blueprint exceptions, false. Save. LPSP. We're getting back in there. We're solving this problem. This is the pack that I'm using. Is the backing assets. It's like the low poly guns and stuff. It's on the Epic in the Fab marketplace. Ta-da! Now I can move and fix the bug, and then I can turn my debugger back on. So all we want to do is validate this here, and then also like why tick is not enabled. Advanced. Don't do that. LPSP here. Maybe it's in here. Maybe it's still, no, it's this one. Details, loot widget, tick mode enabled. Sure. Tick mode disabled. Set tick mode. Best if we use the, so this tick mode is a property of widget component. So I'm thinking it probably controls the component tick, and it would be better to use the one that it expects us to use in this case. And then of course the music ended, so we absolutely have to get a new music. If anyone has copyright free atmospheric drum and bass, that really helps me build UI because it gets me in the zone. Okay, so we'll do this. If we're enabling it, we're enabling the tick, otherwise we're disabling it. Cool. And we're validating this now so that it's just a little bit better, and then we'll go back to, well, we'll compile, save, edit preferences, break on blueprint exception. Here. Thank you for not breaking. Game. Oh. We lost some content. Lost. Is it because I turned... That's hilarious. Okay. So if I don't tick it by default, then I can't see it. Which I guess makes perfectly good sense. Let's go and grab this and just make sure that its rotation is default. So I don't want it to be rotated to begin with. It's gone a little bit further forward. Okay, so now, anyway. Guess I'm going to need to disable this tick though. Bye-bye. That's a bit of a shame. I need to disable it because I don't want it to be... Oh no, I tell you what I could do. I could say... This is really hacky now, but begin play. We should set inspected to false, basically. Which means that by default, it can be enabled. Which means then I can see it in the editor, which would be nice. So. Okay, so we have this widget and we're going to rotate it and we're going to set its data based on some incoming data. Well, actually, we already have the data right here. Another thing that we'll need to do, and I think it's probably best that we do this upon inspection, is actually update the widget with the data. So we'll create a new function, update widget. I like to put the words in, update loot widget. We'll take the loot data that we have, we'll get the user widget object and cast it to our loot. Typically what you would do is you would have an MVVM. Maybe I can just create a quick MVVM, because I keep saying like typically what you would do is, oh, you would do this in a better way than I'm doing it. Don't do what I do what I say. Let's just do an MVVM here. View model. I don't have the plugin enabled. Never mind. Back to the regularly scheduled, I wouldn't do it this way. You would make an MVVM view model here. You have to enable the plugin. I should enable the plugin. I'll talk you through it, and then while I'm enabling the plugin. MVVM. UMG view model, no. View model. UMG view models. It's a beta, sure, restart. Oh, I'm getting a headache. Right, so you make a view model, you put all the data in the view model, and then various things can read from the view model. So I'll have this loot data, but I'll be able to represent that. As long as I've got those data assets, I'll be able to represent that loot data in like a lot of different places without having to do the same, or 90% of the same work over and over. So let's go to blueprint class here, view model, MVVM view model base here. So we'll create one of them. We'll call it VM underscore loot data. And in here we'll have a couple of variables, right? Well, we'll have basically the exact same variables as our loot data. So let's go and add some information. So we've got the texture, texture 2D, soft object reference. We'll have a name. So let's do that as text. We'll have a description. We'll have a category, which we'll need a new enum type for. So we'll go to blueprint here, enumeration, e underscore loot type. Oops. Loot types will have weapon, item, ammo. Do for now. That will be this category. Did I name it correctly? Loot. Loot type. Okay, sure. So that's our category. We also had the concept of traits. So in this case, I'm just going to do traits as text blocks. Right click that to make it an array. Okay, so we've got a texture, a name, description, a category, some traits. Let's just double check our widget and make sure that that's everything that the designer told us that we needed to represent. Category, traits, title, description, image. Yeah, cool. So that's everything that we need in here. And so now I would go and do the same thing over here. So in fact, what you can do, make my life quicker possibly, is delete, copy the name, delete the asset, duplicate the asset, call it VM underscore loot data, go into here, file, reparent, view model, because they're both object based, reparent, and turn these all into field notifiers, so that so the idea of this is you have one widget that's going to listen to those variables, and then when I go and change what's being looked at, I'm going to update all these variables in the VM loot data, and there'll be one VM loot data that gets updated based on what you're looking at. And in order to do that, we could have a function on this VM. But another way you could do this is, because this data asset is in fact, yeah, anyway, because this data asset, I just thought of something. This is obviously a duplication of data. I've been thinking about this for a while. This is a duplication of data. I'm now going to hook this VM into here with a function. It's just like create me a VM, so that if I know about the data, I can just get the VM from it. But why not just have VM loot data be the data that a designer creates. I guess it's a problem. It's a problem of concerns, right? Like, this is where the designer creates data. This view model is where programmers create data. I'm going to make a function anyway in this data loop called get loot VM, which will return a loot VM. Data object reference VM, which we will actually create. Create object. Nope. Create object from class. Construct object from class. A VM loot. This can do is have a variable called loot data. I wonder if there might be a lot quicker way of doing this actually, rather than duplicating the data. I might be able to just say this is the data asset, and then I wonder if I can pull from that. Let's go find out. Just a real quick test. We're going to jump back over to our UI. We need to dock these. So in here we have this view bindings and we have this view models. I'm going to add the loot data here, and then I'm going to say that this weapon category, this text block, is equal to the loot data's name. So as long as the loot data change, like the data asset, the static data asset has been updated, like you're looking at something else, right? Then that name's going to update, which is awesome. We don't need to duplicate all this data, because the only thing we care about is the fact that there is a loot data. I like that. And then the way that you expose this is you just make this exposed on spawn. Refresh this, then you've got the loot data here, which in this case is just self. Compile that. Okay, so let's hook everything up. Let's just do a quick hookup of all the things. One thing that we will need, we have traits as a string here. We can actually create a conversion function for that trait string. But if we wanted to use, so we set up a list view here, right? What we should do in the VM is set a better traits variable that is an object for each one, and that way you can just plug that into the list view with set items. Let me just check quickly. So if I add the list view here, and then I just go set items, yes, set list items, it saves me from doing any blueprints in the widget, and that would come from the view model, right? Also, this view model hasn't updated. If you notice that didn't update. What's your problem? I would like to do that, but it's going to complain because it's not the right type. So let's clear that. Right, we need to, yeah, that's cool. Okay, so we need to have a little function in here. First we need an event, which is loot traits, basically, of an object type. So let's go and make a blueprint. Oops, let's go make a blueprint object, and we'll just call this, yeah, blueprint object. Select BP underscore trait object, and this contains the name. So name. It could contain other things. In this case, it's going to be text. So we have that. This is going to be a loot trait. what did I call it? BP trait object, sure. An array of those that has a notifier. Event construct, event begin. It's an object, so it probably doesn't have one. Custom event in it. Or we could call it set data. This actually might be better. Let's do this. Sets it with a broadcast, so then the widget updates, and then it also sets up this trait data. So we can go and get traits here, get traits for each. Construct an object, class that is a trait data, or a trait object in this case. Got a cool trait object here. This trait object takes a name as an exposed variable. Refresh this, plug this in, add it to the array of traits. So in this case we're adding these, so it's not going to trigger the broadcast notify, and then at the end what you do is you broadcast it by doing this. So what we do is take the loot data here, maps to function, update traits. Not going to expose this on spawn. Going to create it and set data. Just self. Alrighty, so we've got that sorted. VM data updates the traits. When we do this, we need to make sure that we clear the loot trait list. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a very long array over the lifetime of this VM. All right. The outer of this constructed object self basically just means like when the lifetime of something ends, then this ends, and the outer of this data ending is this. Should be fine. Okay. The outer of this data is going to be the loot pickup, the loot itself, the actual object. Compile, view bindings, this one. We should now have traits, but of course it's not updated. Do I have to do this every time? VM loot. Actually, let's not do it. Let's just Control Z. Ah, there we go. Look at that. Loot traits. Compile. Ta-da! So it's going to fill that in. That's cool. We have a set data function. We don't want that to be exposed. So let's make sure that all of these are private. That can't be private, because I need to call it. Protected. Let's try closing it this time and see if just reopening it will fix the VM. If I make this private, then I can't call it in other places, and I don't want a UI person to be able to call it. So how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you update it? How do you update it? Oh, it didn't say it's private. Great. Let's just make that private again. I can't make this private. It's a function. I don't want the UI to see it. It's a function that I don't want the UI to see. Yet they can see it. So what's that about? That seems a little bit sus. If anyone has used view models before, please do let me know, because at the moment we're in a position where that doesn't make any bloody sense. But moving on, we could always call that from somewhere else, I suppose. Update traits doesn't do that though, so maybe I just need to convert it to a function. Set data. Update traits is private. There we go. Woo! Okay. Although it's private. So can I make it public and still not show up there? Nope, can't do that. Can I make it? Yeah, I mean, if I make it protected, it's probably not going to work either, is it? No, it is going to work. Maybe protected is enough. Well, we'll see very quickly, because when I compile this, it'll tell me. It's like, no, you can't do that. It's protected. It can't be accessed outside of its hierarchy. We're going to solve this. This is going to be one of those moments where we solve setting up a view model on stream for the first time, and just improving as we go. Set data. I want to do that because I want that to update the traits. The traits update function is private. I can't call it from outside. The reason I don't want to call it from outside is because otherwise it will show up in view model, and I don't want it to show up in the view model. You know what? I'm going to trust the UI designers. We're all adults. Everyone is a game developer in my team of one. And I'm going to trust that they're not going to mess things up and call set data to the view model at any time. I think there was something like you can put this in a category that's like private. And that might do something. That there is something about categorization. I remember that being a thing. It's similar to how state tree works. And I don't remember that. Can we find it? Can we find it? Let's Google it quickly. View model function private to UMG. The MVVM system only lists functions in the binding panel if they are read-ready. If set data is intended to modify data as a setter, it typically should not be visible for binding unless you have a two-way or one-way view model. For getters, read-only, a function only appears if it's pure or const. For setters, if you want to hide a setter, simply avoid marking it as a field notify. Not. It is not a field notify. Private and protected. Mark the function as private or protected in C++. By default, the view model will respect this. Yeah, but then I can't call the function. Meta blueprint internal use only. I can't do meta. I don't think I can do meta. Meta is not an option. Force this to be const. It's not const. It changes things. learning right now. This is so dumb. Because I haven't found out a way to create a function that I can call that doesn't show up in the thing. So anyway, we're all adults. Doesn't matter. It exists here. I can delete this. It comes back. Just don't call set data. Don't do that. Okay, cool. Update traits. Creates a bunch of traits. Cool. We've got the loot data. Right. We have a list view which we're going to name properly. Traits. Compile and save that. We've got a category, that's this one. We've got a weapon name, so we'll add that. We'll add the text to that. Text. We'll bring that in from the name. We've got the description. We'll add that. Set the text from the description. So we'll set the text from the description. And we've got the image. Now the thing about this image is it's material, so I can't just set it. I need to create a conversion function. Or a VM function, I like to sometimes call them. In this case, it's a conversion, which is texture to material, or texture to, I guess in this case, a loot material, which is going to take a soft texture 2D. This might need to be an event because we're going to async load. Actually, yeah, we are. We're going to async load an asset. In this case, this asset is a texture 2D. Texture 2D soft object reference, and we'll just call this texture. This just goes in here. This is no longer a conversion function, it's a VM function because it's not const. And then we cast this to texture 2D. It's down here. Bring in our image, which I didn't name because I'm smart. So we'll call this, this is no longer a common lazy image. This is just a regular image. There's no point in it being a lazy image. Replace it with a regular image. Image underscore loot. And then we've got a bunch of other images in here that are showing up. So what's this one? This is just a divider. So we don't need that to be a variable because we're not going to do anything with it. We've also got a divider down here. Divider bottom. That doesn't need to be a variable either. Cool, cool, cool. We're going to add some more polish to this shortly. Okay, so that's our texture 2D. We're going to get our image loot, get our dynamic material. We're going to set a texture parameter. What? Set texture parameter value. I think this is just called texture, but we'll see. M underscore UI. Great, there's a whole ton of M underscore UI in the project. Let's go take a look at this. Text, of course. Text. Why did I do that? Text, so that's the texture. Super cool. Okay, let's get rid of all these other functions. And then set up the view binding for that. So we add it to this widget because that's where the function is. And we find the VM function in here. VM texture to loot material. And then it wants to take something as a reference. In this case, it should be a texture. Then whenever this texture rings a bell, well, in this case, the loot data rings a bell, then we're going to update the material. Cool. So that's just going to run this. And if you want to be really, extra, you can hide this until that's done. So set this to hidden, which means it retains its paint space geometry. Or it's paint space? It's layout geometry. And then we would set the visibility to non-hit testable after that has been loaded. And you can do other stuff, like you can put a little loading symbol in there if you want, because there is an async load that's going to happen. We're not doing a blocking load because that will cause a hitch, possibly, most of the time. Okay, so that is all set up now. The last thing to do to get this VM stuff to work is when I click on this view model here, it needs to come from somewhere. So I need a resolver. I'm going to go create that resolver right now. So right click, let's put this in blueprints, right click, blueprint class resolver, MVVM resolver, the VMR for VM resolver, and we'll just call this loot, VMR for loot. May as well name it consistently, so it'll be VMR loot data. Okay, so this needs to resolve, create instance. This resolver. Return value is a notify field value changed. I haven't actually used this yet. But essentially the way that we can do this is we can get the player, because it's just for me, right? I'm the one drawing the UI. So we'll get the player controller 0. Not allowed to do that. Get player controller. Serious? I can get a subsystem of a local player, but then I can't plug in a local player. User widget. Get owning player. So can it let me do that? Okay, so the first thing to do is just print a string to see if this is even valid. Just compile that. In our loot pickup, we're going to set this resolver class to VM loot data. Create a public get, sure. Right, let's click on this and go to details and just check out what we've got here. So we've got a loot data item. We've got a loot look at widget component, which only shows when it's inspected, and upon inspection will update the loot widget, which will go and get the user widget object and cast it to a loot pop-up and set the data. Apparently I didn't do. Loot pop-up. Hang on, shouldn't need to do this. Hang on. Go back to the widget component. I shouldn't need to cast this anymore. Yeah, I don't need to do that. I just need to make sure that the VM gets updated. You still get the loot. This is the function I want to call. When I look at the widget, I want it to call this. Which is in the data. Oh, and another thing is we should promote this to a variable. We ever call the getter for this, just ask if the loot VMs are already valid. I feel like I'm doing this wrong, but hey, it's the first time for everything. It's just patterns. It's just about learning the better pattern. And so currently my pattern idea is the data asset's going to hold a VM. It's pretty dead simple. but there's like 20 things involved in doing it. See, if I'd have just done it the normal way, I'd be done by now. But the nice thing about doing it this way is I'm going to be able to make a battle pass, I'm going to be able to make an inventory screen, I'm going to be able to make a whole bunch of things without having to really touch Blueprint. I would be able to do an entire stream where I'm just making UI, and I've got a view model that represents everything to do with yeah, loot. Update the loot widget. Let's have a look here. So I don't need to do anything, actually. Do I don't think I do need to do anything. It just needs to tick. I mean, ideally what it needs to do is now create the widget. We could actually do that. Widget class. No. Oh, I don't need to put a widget class in. No, I do. So the reason I need to put a widget class in here, even though the class defaults has a widget class, is because I actually want it to not create that widget later, and then I want to create that widget myself. Do I? I don't think I do. I'm just going to set this up. Loot pop-up. Is going to be fine. You could have different styles of pop-up basically for this component if you wanted. So we do need to call inspected on it, which means we need to walk up to it and look at it. We don't have an interaction system in the game right now. We don't have a component that goes on the player that allows us to like line trace at things. So a really quick and hacky way for me to get that to work is to go to our demo asset, find out what this is extended from. It's not. Okay, so I can just duplicate demo template and then say demo underscore loot, I suppose. Then in demo loot, when we begin overlap, target weapon, variables. Oh, sorry, we have a target loot, I should say. We'll just call it actor. Actor, object, variable. Get comp by class. Loot, component, set inspected. This is just demo. This is demoing stuff. I do need to create an interaction component, and the concept would be you would set inspected to true when you're looking at the thing within a certain range. But right now I'm just using this thing that I've set up, which is like a little demo panel. So I can just pop this here, actually hide the base of it, and then just pick this, pick the weapon. Now when I walk over it, when I walk over that, it will call that function that I need it to call, which will set it to be tickable. Let's find out how much this explodes. Oh, that. Cool. So it's there, but it's a little bit iffy. So let's expand the size of this. That's working, but we want it to kind of look at us in a different way, basically. Don't really like a few things about this. There's a few things I don't like. Also, the traits didn't work and the image didn't work. In fact, 90% of it didn't work. Let's not worry about the way that it's aligned right now. In order to make that alignment just look a little bit better instead of ticking like this, is yeah, I would basically say branch. The type down here is you either have world or screen, so get space, switch on widget space. If it's world space, you're allowed to do this. In fact, I would just put this here. If it's world space, set the tick mode. but screen space don't do that. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a screen space, and then we're going to go and have a look at how that appears. Whoa. Yeah, cool. So that's pretty cool. That actually looks a hell of a lot better, rather than it being world space. But it is visible immediately, and that is why set inspected here should create the widget, enable it. How could we do this? This just update. Oh, I know what's happening. Yeah, okay, so we do need to tell it to not tick. I think. Try this. There we go. Bit of a branching issue there, basically. I branched it too early, so the disable never happened, and then it always drew. But now I've fixed it so that if it's world space, you can update the rotation. You have to change the tick mode in order for it, like disabled tick means it's not going to draw. What are you doing? Yeah, hey, so welcome. I'm Renfire now. I'm a technical designer at UX is Fine, and I'm going to turn my light on. 1 second. My Unreal Engine shirt on. It's like you tear the coat off and you're like, Unreal Engine. Right. So on a serious note, hi, I'm a technical designer at UX is Fine, and I work in various elements of UI across various games, AAA, indie, and my own stuff, work on various client projects. What we do is we build and we service UI across different games. So what I'm doing on stream is I have a whole series where I do different elements from video games, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here's a bunch of stuff that we've done in the past, like we did the Claire Obscure pop out. Just recently we've been doing this FPS series where we created a radial, we create a ping system, and we do all the blueprints for it as well, right? We do the implementation too. As a company, UX is Fine does a lot more stuff. You can see it on the channel. It's like, a lot of artwork, a lot of animation, MoGraph, implementation, UX design, testing, all sorts of stuff to do with UI UX. But me in particular, I do Unreal Engine, and I do a lot of blueprints, and I do a little bit of C++ as well, and I do a lot of tech art. And a lot of systems design, and just general game design. I've got some games jams that I've done in the past as well. Yeah, we did a couple of games jams. We'll probably do some more this year. We got some UI on here. So I wanted to show you that because it kind of leads me nicely into today. We are creating this pop-up here. So it is essentially just a loot system, and one of the things that I've challenged myself to do as well is use the view model system to produce that. So the view model system allows us to create these bindings, and these bindings basically let us create UI for different things. Like I can make a battle pass, I can make an inventory screen where you hover over the elements, and the widget itself can look different, but it takes the same data, and that data comes from a view model. Yeah, stick around, subscribe, and stay updated, because this year I'm going to start releasing these packs. Right, they're going to become available, and people can just pick them up and have a look through them. So that'll be coming, hopefully. As long as it doesn't, I can't give you the low poly shooter pack framework, but I can give you a stripped down version, basically. So that should be pretty cool too. Right, yeah, so we're building this thing. It didn't work at all. It didn't work one bit, which means when I hit play, I get a hello in the corner there, which is super useful. Got this display name create instance here. I need to be playing in this view. create instance, get the owning player of the widget who is correct. Yeah, nice. But we don't actually return a view model, right? So what we can do from here is, this is like just a real cheeky way of doing this. We've got our demo loot thing, and we should only be overlapping one of them. So what we'll do, or I'll make sure that in the demo we're only overlapping one of them. We'll get the first one and get loot. Yeah, cool. And then from there, we'll get data. Oh, it's just a target, right? Get widget, get component class. And from there, we'll get the loot widget component that is where we hackily held our, everything is a hack, is where we hackily held our data. And then from there, I will say get VM, get the loot VM. And from there, I'll plug that in and ta-da, we've made a resolver. So the resolution is a bit sus. I mean, it's not that bad, but we're using the demo asset to do it. So in the future, I'll have an interact component, and the interact component will have a target, and it'll be super easy. But today we walk up to this and we fail because why? Because we don't have an overlapping actor. Okay. Validate that, I suppose. Expected type. There. Let's put an F9 on here. Nope, don't want to start there. I want to start there. Yeah, cool. So we're not overlapping demo loot. Oh, because it's a player. Yeah, sorry. My mistake. Player controller is an invisible thing. I need to get the controlled pawn and get the overlapping assets of that. Just my power just died. Did the music just suddenly ended at the same time as a screen of mine turned off. Can I please put some music back on? Is that, did I close the music somehow? Yeah, no, it just ended. Nice. Okay, we're going for this one next. Okay. If you haven't been here before, I play atmospheric drum and bass while I dev, just to keep me going. And I only have 3 mixes that are copyright free. And just to plug them, it's this Dusk dude. Just does great music. I quite like it. It's awesome. So shout out to those guys. And if you have recommendations for copyright-free music, then I'll take it, because I need something to listen to. Otherwise I'll go crazy. Cool, so we've resolved the widget. We should now be in a better place. You should really put a print string in here that just says like, hey, didn't work. Oh, for the dude that just jumped in, Joe Momo. Joe... I'm tired. It's been a long day. I do the first half of my day on client projects and then the second half of my day on rapidly producing stuff. Okay, so this is a ping system. Got a little cool little thing there. It's pretty cool. And if we middle mouse on these, I think, yeah, we get like unique radials, right? And then I've got these 3 little test assets here. So we got this radial. That's not right. This radial here, just different designs, just showing off concept. And then now we're working on this loot UI, which we walk up and say, it's got no data. Tell you what though, it did get to here, so that is good. Let's keep going. We're gonna get this working. So we come into this function, we double tap. We do already have a loot VM. Do we really? debug blueprint debugger. VM. Yeah, it has a data asset. Oh, right. Yeah. I didn't put anything in there, so it's not going to draw anything. Hopefully that is actually working. I actually need to go and set the data now. Okay, so I think we were using rifle on here. Yeah, rifle, cool. So in the loot data rifle, let's get some textures going. Rifle. Yeah, we'll use this one. Name, the Super Blaster. Description, blasts supers with high precision. Category is weapon. Traits, blasts, or BLST and SPR. And then the loot VM here, clear, save. Why does that have a default loot VM? Data loot, event graph, yep, get loot VM. Oh, I think the resolver fires in the widget. Let me put an F9 in here. Loot VM, clear, compile, widget. Okay, that's fine. As long as that F9 doesn't happen, then we're good. Until I hit play. Okay, it doesn't happen when I hit play. Get the loot VM, go in, step over, cool, makes a new one, sets the data, cool, steps out. Now we have a loot VM, debug, I'm not going to be able to debug it from here. Data asset loot, sure, maybe this one. Data, debug, blueprint debugger, open up the loot rifle, has some loot data, has two traits that it's created the objects for the traits, which is cool, one called blast, one called super. It's got the super blaster data, cool. So that's all running. And then we have the super blaster in here. The texture is enormous though. The super blaster that is an AR. I forgot to hook up the text variables for the traits. So I have to go do that. On the action, we're failing to find the correct action because I haven't set it up. Blasts supers with high precision, the super blaster. Okay, so we're almost done. We're almost done for today, I think. And then next time we'll come on, we'll make a bunch of pink lines, right? We'll get those beams that happen, and then I'll get like a cannon that shoots them all over the floor. It'll be good fun. We'll do that tomorrow at 2 p.m. PST. 2 p.m. PST. Let's start making it a mantra. 2 p.m. PST. Okay, so I'm glad that all works. We have a couple of things to fix. We've got the loot pop-up, we've got the VM here, we're going to pop in here. It's actually the first view model I've set up, which is awesome. Okay, we don't care about, actually we do care about the object being set, do we? Do we? Yeah, we do. Sure. Loot. Trait. String. Name. Name? No? Trait? What did I call it? Oh right, I did it wrong. Cast to trait object. Name. Export trait, set text. This is a little bit blueprinty. Typically you would make a VM for the trait, I guess. But like, man, it's dead simple, and I don't want to have to do that. And then also in our widget, we have this weapon. We never set the text for this category. We got it here, but it comes from name. So it just says Super Blaster, Super Blaster. So what we need to do is create a conversion function. Actually, there might already be a conversion function. Let's have a look. Enum? Friendly? Nope. So in Blueprint there is get text from an enum. Doesn't look like we can get the friendly. So byte value to formatted text. I wonder if that works. It doesn't work if I don't click it correctly. There. Byte. Text byte. The byte is category. We'll see. Now I've got to run all the way over here again. Loot UI. No, it just comes up as the actual byte, which is hilarious. Okay, so we need to make a conversion function. So we come in here, we press this, we press conv underscore get category text. And then this takes a property, it's pure and const, so that it can be used in the VM. It takes a property of the category. Called it loot type, didn't we? Yeah. Category comes in. We return variable that we want to set. So in this case, we want to set a text variable. Name that text. This, we can take this to a string. Friendly name of the enumerator. Cool thing about the friendly name of the enumerator is we can localize that. So if we go and take a look at our blueprints, eLoot type, you've got display name here. It's a localizable name. So this is cool in Blueprint. Quite like that. Cool. So now we've got a pure const conversion function that failed to save. New enumerator. Yeah. Drag drop. Default. Compile. Cool. Why is it saying new enumerator? I'm just going to put this in a folder called conversions. Compile. New enumerator. It just keeps doing it. That's a bug. I can't give it a category, apparently. Okay, so in here now, we go to our loot pop-up. We type in conv underscore get category text. It takes a category. You hit this little binding button, go find our category. Whenever the loot data changes, we can get the category. So that's cool. And then we have our extra little loot date thing, and then we have that annoying set data asset that we had earlier. But anyway, now when I walk over to this, I should get blast super weapon. Okay, so the last thing to fix is the image. So if I remember correctly, I played with the scale X and Y in this image. I certainly did do that. And the reason for that is because these textures come in left aligned, and that is kind of annoying. It's kind of not, it's expected. If I actually go and take this and then set this, what did I type? I typed in T underscore weapon. I need to go and find out what weapon I used, what data I used. Blueprints, rifle, get that one, come in here. 16. Yeah, look at that. This is just far bigger. I think it's a different asset set, actually. It is, yeah. Completely different asset set. That's fine. It just means it's a different asset set. Oh, yeah, we can tile it. That would be cool. Let's go find a better weapon. Sure, we'll use this one. Sorry, I don't actually care about that. I'm going to go delete it when I can. I'm going to put that in here. I really liked the Super Blaster image. Screw it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. Widget, image. So this is weapon underscore LPSP. This is weapon underscore polygon. So that's two different packs, right? Two different asset packs that configure their weapons differently. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we're going to take this rifle, we're going to go to this, right click all of these asset actions, edit by property matrix. Yes, I do want to edit 491 textures. I want to set their wrap policy basically. To clamp. Come on, supercomputer, you can do it. Edit the clamp property of 491 textures, thank you. I'll give you 2 more seconds. There you go. One of the things that I did when I got this job was invest a whole ton of my savings in basically getting a supercomputer. I say it's supercomputer, it's not super anymore, but it was pretty super, man. Let's just bring this in. It's good to me. This material is the one that we're going to use in here. Just going to move it to the left. I need a test thing in there. All right, so yeah, cool. We've gone for 2 hours now. It's getting pretty long. Add a little extra padding to this on the right here, 15. There's one more thing that I really want to do to this, which is just add a little bit of flavor in these corners, because right now it's feeling a little bit flat. Another thing I would do is I would add a rarity into the asset. Let's do that right now. Let's add the rarity and get the color going, because I think that is kind of like the important part here. Yeah. Let's add rarity. So we need a new thing, e_loot rarity. Can't finish the day without rarity. So we'll have common, uncommon, rare, pick, gender. We should have heroic. If anyone's played the game I've played recently, you'll know what that's from. Yeah, see, this has a VM loot data again. I don't like that. I don't like that. I think it's coming from the UI. It's not too big of a deal because it represents its own data, so it kind of is a big deal. It's a big deal because if I go change the data, if I come in here and I say, oh, actually this is an item and it's called the Mega Blaster, because this data has already been set, I think, oh no, it worked. Okay, well now it's a Mega Blaster, so that's even better. Call it a Super Blaster. I think that's still fine. Okay, I prefer Super. Okay, so in the loot, we want to add a rarity. However, rarity is like random, right, in a game. So we don't really want it to be part of static data. So it's not going to be part of static data. This is where the VM really starts to sort of show its colors, right? So the loot data is static data. The loot traits, that's a little helper, sure. Rarity is something that comes from a different source. And what we're saying is that this VM, this view model, is the composite of all sources of truth into one packet of data that we will represent in the UI. But in order to set that up, I need to actually give it some rarity, right? So we'll shove the rarity in here like this. This is set data. Cool. And then in order to randomize that, for now, I'm just going to do it. Where am I going to do it? Data, get the loot VM, sets the data here. I think I could just do random. No? Okay. Num entries in rarity. Random integer from 0 to that number of entries, and then just plug that in. Okay, so byte, and then plug that in. Cool. So now I get a random rarity when that opens. Now I just need to decide what to do with that. So that is how easy it is to update your VM once you've got it all set up. So that's very cool. Okay, so now what does rarity actually do? It gets used in here to control the color, right? A couple of ways I could do that. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to create a VM function, and I'm just going to code the whole thing. So let's go in here, VM underscore on rarity updated. Plug a little rarity in here. Call that rarity. Compile it, go back to our designer, add the widget, and call that VM function. So we did this earlier, we're doing it again. VM updated, rarity goes in there. Compile that. It complains. There is no field to bind to. The binding must be a one-time binding. Does it though? Does it though? Return? Does it need to be a one-time binding, or are you just messing with me right now? Clear this, compile it. What's the compile say? Can't have none. Yeah, sure. Do that. Oh, yeah. It's doing that because I didn't make it. It didn't make it a field notify. Yeah, so when it's not a field notify, although it still appears as not a field notify, let's just clear it, refresh it. The way I've been fixing this is to delete it and then press Ctrl Z, and then it just fixes. So that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, now we're going to call this function. That's very cool. I like that function. What this function is going to do, it's going to change the color of everything, which means we need to create a source of truth for how rarity maps to color, right? So let's make a new data underscore rarity colors. And inside this data asset, do we really want a data asset? What's the best way to do this? It's one asset that anyone can look at. I mean, there just isn't a color table. Just isn't a color enum table. There is a selector. I need to figure out how that works. There's a chooser system in Unreal, which I'm not going to experiment with. I've never touched it. At least I've touched and researched view models for a while. There is a chooser system, and you might be able to use a chooser and then have and then map two things, and then be like, use that chooser. Yeah, I don't even have the system enabled. I'm just going to do it this way for now. Data rarity colors, it comes in, just delete all of the properties. Another way to do that, if you're interested, just Control Z it. Delete the function, then go edit, delete unused variables. Bam! Clears the file for you. Look at that. Okay, so we're going to have a variable. It's rarity colors. Then in here we type in rarity. Loot rarity. What we can do is we could do rarity color light and rarity color dark, and then we can click on this key map here and change the second property to linear color. Follow that, and then what I'll do is I'll set up 5 colors. So you've got to start with the last entry, otherwise you can't. In a key map, you can't. Every property has to be unique. So if you start with common, you cannot add another one. You cannot add a key of the same type because the default is common, right? So we did legendary, epic, we'll do heroic, then we'll do rare, then we'll do uncommon, and then finally we'll do common. Now common is just grey. Uncommon is green. Nice light green. Air is blue. Darkish blue. Heroic is orange, but it's like kind of a yellowy. Yeah. It's just yellow, actually. I lied, it's a yellow. Epic is purple. It's like a nice, deep, rich purple there. Super legendary is like this burnt orange. Cool. That's legendary. Right. Now make the dark versions of all those. And that means now we can play with that. Okay, dark version. Let's just take you right down. I mean, you could do this pragmatically as well, but I like doing it this way because you get a little bit more control, right? And I can come in here later. I can play with these colors later if I want to. Okay, so we got that. Okay, now that we've got our rarity colors, just make a property for colors in here, rarity. This is why I don't like this, because it's like, maybe I could have done it with a material parameter collection. But it wouldn't be a map. It wouldn't be a map. Yeah, the problem with this is that you could have multiple of this class, and you're going to mess it up, right? So what we could do instead is create a function library. So right click, blueprint class, sorry, no, go back, blueprint function library. I'll call this BPFL underscore colors, I guess. You could call it UI style, do whatever you want. Get colors. Turn. I could just make the exact thing. Get rarity color. Add rarity in here. It's rarity. Add a local variable for rarity colors. Color. Object. File. Now let me pick it. Son of a bee. I use the class default object to get the color. And then I just output the color. Look at that. Look at that. Rarity. Look at that one. Okay, so that's that. Compile and save. Now we've got a nice little way of getting a rarity. We just go get rarity color. Just type rarity in here. Now we have our two colors. We could even make this pure, but if we make this pure, we'll have to run this twice. The only reason I like it being so yeah, just bear with me while my brain catches up with what I'm trying to say. A pure function runs each pin, right? So if I call this into one color and then this into the next, the internals of this run twice. Because this is just a find in an array, I'm okay with that. But if the function had more in it, then you wouldn't want, you need to be careful what's pure, right? Because you'll be ending up calling it multiple times. But in this case, it's fine because it's just getting static data, so we're all good. In fact, you should probably just make all consts, all pures const. You can't make a blueprint function library called const. Did not know that. That's kind of annoying. Oh well. Okay, so we have this rarity. We come in, we get the rarity color, and now we can do stuff with it. So let's go and first off change the bottom divider. So here we'll say set color. Set color opacity. We'll use the light color. bottom bar. We're going to call this a lot, but it doesn't matter because it's just a pure. No, actually, I've done fines in the past. Yeah, I have eaten this bullet in the past, and I'm not going to do it again. I'm actually not going to do that because depending on the length of the array, it gets a little bit spicy. I'm just going to promote these to local variables: L light and L. I had it come up in a profile once. I was doing some debugging coming up to the release of a game, and just see this thing like throughout the graph. So what is that? If I double click it, it shows up across the entire profile. That it's whatever this thing was just happening a ton, and it was an accessor similar to this, but like on tick or on something being drawn or undrawn, and all it was doing was a find into an array or a key map, but it cumulatively over the course of the game ended up like eating up like minutes of the game thread. Really sucked. So it's awesome when you find that stuff and then you fix it and you're like, this is why I do this job. This is why I do this job. So we've got the light color on the bottom one. Let's go and change the color of the border fill. So it's dark up top, right? Set get dynamic material. Set color. Set vector parameter. And so we had color A and color B. I forget which one's which. Color A is dark. Okay. And then we had a frame, and the frame also had a color change. So dynamic material, vector color. Yeah, I guess it's color B. I need to go check. Yeah, it's color B, which will be light. Okay. I think that's everything. Let's try out. Oh yeah, I've got to change the text colors. Oh, I didn't close the thing. Yeah, that's annoying. Let's find out why that's happening. There's the collider. Why? What? I hit it. I managed to hide it at some point. Okay. Let's go in here. Demo loot. Come in. Set inspector to false. Sets it to no longer be ticking. But apparently that doesn't hide the widget. It needs to tick in order to create the widget, I guess, as well. I need to do more work on the debug tool because it's not behaving correctly. So right now, if I hit play, no widget, walk in, get a widget, walk out, does not. Oh, of course it's not going to work. You're no longer overlapping it. Oh no, that's fine. This will get called. Oh, I'm so hungry. Bam, bam. Yeah, so it does get called, but the code doesn't work, right? So let's just do a branch on here. Configure 2 paths of code because I think we need to do some extra stuff. So true here. In fact, no. What am I talking about? It's going to happen on both paths, so that's fine. Set inspected enabled. Let's convert this to a variable. widget enabled. The reason I want to do that is it's going to help me clean up the graph a little bit. And it also means I can get it from another class. And typically what you would do as well is you would set this to private and then create a get widget enabled. Is widget enabled? Is widget enabled? And you would return this so that no one else is allowed to set that property by accident in the future, or you're also pigeonholing yourself to code in a little bit more defensive way. Okay, so widget is enabled. What am I doing? Set user widget. Set widget. If it's not enabled, I'm just going to remove the widget. If it is enabled, I'm going to create a widget. This is why I don't like doing it this way. I'm going to create a new widget, I guess. That's okay, right? Yeah, so this comes back to like an hour or so ago. I was like, there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could create an orchestration or some sort of factory, some manager that sits in the HUD level, is a screen that represents a widget, and there's one of them, and you basically just update the VM, and you're never creating and destroying widgets because you know that the pop-up always looks this way. But then you could do things like pooling, and you could do other stuff in there. You could say, oh, there's 5 different types of widget class that a viewable loot can be like. There's this tool version, there's this version with a splash of color coming off. And you would pull that and bring it back in when you need it, because you're probably going to look at loot a lot. So you're thinking about ways that you can make it cheaper for the engine to not have to create and destroy, because creating and destroying is an expensive action, which I'm now doing. I'm now destroying and creating, and I don't like this pattern. This is a bad pattern in Unreal. Really what I should do, at least even for now, is be like, you promote this to a variable. It's a weak pointer, so it gets cleared at the end, or it should be cleared at the end of the level, as far as I know. And we'll just call this like loot widget, and then we'll draw that. And then you could ask here, hey, is the loot widget valid? And if it is, then that's the widget that we're going to set. And if not, then we need to create one. That's just called lazy, like just lazily loading that. Okay, we're happy. That should fix the bug. Cool. The rarity thing didn't work. I'll say that. I'll admit, sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. What's the rarity, boss? It's common. What's the rarity, boss? Whoops. What's the rarity? Boom. Oh, it didn't do anything. No one called it, because the loot data already existed. This is that problem again. Where does this problem begin its existence as a problem? It is in the data asset. It's a bad way of doing it, apparently. It needs to be transient. So what transient does is it says it can't be serialized, so it's not going to save. That variable can never save. It can only ever be filled at runtime. Boom. Boom. Okay. In that case, it did it once, but set data. No. Okay, I lied. Transient doesn't fix the problem. Did I set the wrong thing to transient? No, this is transient. Should this variable not serialize and be 0 filled at load? It certainly should. So if you ever get to here on get loot VM, then that transient variable doesn't work completely. Oh, it does. There you go. Look at that. Okay, so we have 6 entries in our loot rarity. We are going to pick randomly and put music on because we're still going. I can't believe we're still going. It's good fun, obviously.
A&W has a value deals menu.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Anymore. Okay, so we pick number 3. That comes out as 3. It turns into an eLoot variable. It comes in. We hit the thing. We get heroic. Cool. Bam. And now it's cooked, right? So we know that this is that. So we hit play. Keep doing that. So now we hit play here. Is it going to be that? Okay. Let's try something. Let's try something else. So let's get this. Four guns. Okay. Play. Oh. Okay, I found out a problem. Yeah, there needs to be. Yeah, I need to change the way the VM's done. It can't come from the data. It can't come from the data. I thought I was being really smart. Basically, it can't come from the data because there is one data that works if you just want to draw the data of the weapon, but if you want to draw any of the extra properties about this loot, it doesn't work because there's only one, right? Because I come in and look at this one data asset and I say, hey, give me your VM. So it's fine if all you're representing is like static data. Let's say it's quests. Work perfectly for quests, except if you want to show progress, in which case it won't. There is a pattern there that's pretty cool. There's a pattern there that says, hey, if you've got some data that is just in a data asset, then you could create a VM inside the data asset. We are not allowed to do that, and we're not going to do that. We're going to have to move this. Where would I move it? I would technically move it to the weapon. I'm going to move it here. Get VM data. Paste. So we've now moved that. Compile it. Doesn't like that. So that just needs to go like this. The resolver that we made, we'll just update the resolver now because resolution has changed slightly. Get VM. No. Get VM. Data. Okay. Delete. Get loot VM from the data asset. Now the data asset is just data. Get rid of that. Go back to our demo. No, go back to here. Make sure that this is transient so that it can't be saved, serialized. If it ever gets called at editor time, it's not going to stay there. Oh, you see that? Super raster. That's pretty cool. We need to come up with a better method for doing this overlapping stuff. Demo tools. Okay, so we still need to change the changing it. It is changing each time I walk over it, which is cool. I'm okay with that. Although it won't be the case when we start making the beams, because otherwise the beams will just keep changing color. Hello, mate. What am I doing? Oh, I'm streaming. There's a new... it has buttons, and I press them and it does stuff on the screen. Alright, where am I at? You want to see what I just made?
Yeah.
What do I do for work?
Goofy.
Huh?
Goofy.
Or
Item for the game.
can you read that?
Super.
What this one?
Blipper. Goofy.
Super Blippy. I gotta change the text name. I gotta change the text. Change the text. Gotta change the text widget pop up here. All of these texts need to change. I think what I could do is I could take all of these, text name, text description, text category, set color, opacity here, boom, boom, boom. What time are we at right now? Yeah, we're not quite at 5 o'clock. Set it to the light color. Set this to the light color. And if I go and grab all of these here, set all of their colors to the light color that I used, then come in and tint them. That's what tint is for. You can't set tint in code. Tint is for designers to tint, like so. Oh, that's the strike brush. Well, you know what? I messed up. Where's tint? Is it font? It's not in font. Where's tint? Strike brush tint. What? No. Strike through brush. I thought there was a tint. Is it tint? I am crazy. I always thought there was a tint for that. There is on images. You can change the color and you can change the tint. And the concept is sometimes you need to tint it. Hey, apparently not allowed to do that. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to say copy, 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 copy here, delete, delete, and then just do a real disgusting multiply by, and the artists are going to absolutely love that. Because you can't control it. Because there's no way to control it. You have to go into the blueprint. Yeah, sucks. Sucks that you can't tint it. That would have been the way. Super Blaster, blasts, supers. There's a bar that's also not updated in there. So we'll just clean that up. This little bar here. Divider. The other divider. Cool. File. Play. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, get to it at one screen at the same time. It's really not good. Really not good, folks. It's really not good. What I'm supposed to do about that? It's like barely readable. What am I doing wrong? Oh, I suppose. Oh, I was saying about tint. Bam. Just tint it more. Yeah, now I can read it. Look at that. Now that's hot. There's one last thing. There's always one last thing. Okay, so last material of the day it's a UI material, MUI underscore dot gradient, I guess we'll call it. Okay. Now I'm going to whip out the ChatGPT HLSL coding support framework. Unreal Engine HLS. I can show you how I do this. This is just a little prompt that I've got nailed by heart now. Unreal Engine HLSL. Inputs are defined inside the node, the custom. They are implicit. Inside, use -- variable name recommended value. Inside, list variables at the top as -- variable recommended value. The HLSL code must allow me to configure dots, their size and spacing in a grid that can be rotated. Which I could technically do myself, because I would just say the UVs that go in. Inputs are UV, dot size, dot spacing, dot feather. Bam. Now we just wait. Just wait. Here's a clean custom HLS. Oh, thank you. So then I put that in here. Just write this in. Custom dot size dot spacing dot feather. Typically this will be like 0.02. Spacing, I don't know. It's going to give us some variables. And then UVs, right? And then that goes in the inputs. Bing, 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 bing. UV dot size dot spacing dot feather. You can just do that, like you can just write this in regular code. Copy, paste. Dot size, dot spacing, dot feather. I didn't press enter. Dot feather. Live event. Watch WWE. No. Okay, variables 0.2, 0.25. Connect this. We'll just start previewing this node. Now you get some dots here. So that's cool. Let's bring the spacing right down. Real quick. Gonna this to this. Rotate it by 45 degrees, so I end up with this different type of pattern. So you can see where I'm going with this. It's like making one of those sort of like anime feathers, and I'm gonna then gradient it to make it look cool. Cool. So I'll do for now. We can change the parameters later. Just call this dot angle, I suppose. We'll call that 45 units. Okay, now, so we'll just call this named reroute dots. Just save that way over here. Oops. Just save that away. Comment dots. Cool. Compile and save often. Okay. So the next thing now is to gradient this in an interesting way. I might actually use the user interface UVs here as well. cheeky little pop. I'm quickly going to create a instance of that and get it into my UI so I can see it. So let's go palette image. Got the image in here, overlay, image underscore dots, full size, and put my dot material in there. Nope, didn't work. Okay, so now let's go dots. It's in here. It's the, yeah, okay, cool. So we've got that now. We need to play with the aspect ratio real quick. This case, I think, is actually relevant. Divide size break 2, 1 by 2, multiply, normalize UVs. Did I do it the wrong way around again? Oh damn it. I'm doing it wrong every time. How do I scale my UVs by my aspect ratio? Just multiply the X, that makes sense. Yeah. So here, mask this. No wait, we multiply this by 2 vector. I can't even plug anything in there. Append vector X, and the other one is just y1. So I was applying my aspect ratio to both axes, which isn't going to work. These like so. Compile. Cool. Now we've got dots that actually work, no matter what we're doing there. But they're ugly, so let's fix that. Let's fix those dots. Zoom out a little bit to like 1x scale. Let's play with. Let's make the dots as big and then just make them tighter. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. A little bit more feathering. Why is the feathering not working? Oh, it is working, but the size is big. Yeah, something like that. Just softer. Oh, it's looking good. It's looking good. It needs to go behind a bunch of stuff though. How can I get you? Nope. Nope. Overlay. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I need to layer. I need to do some better layering. Ooh, this is a pain. Because this isn't done in a way that's going to let me layer this nicely. We've got our border edge. We've got our vertical box with our border top, border fill. I need my dots to go like layered just behind all the text. So basically need to wrap this with an overlay, put my dots in the middle of the overlay, and like move a bunch of stuff basically. Like I've got, yeah, I need a new vertical box in here. I can't see chat right now. Oh, there we go. Chat's good. Chat's fine. Chat's just chilling. Vertical box. You will be fully justified. Dots. You're fully justified. You're fully justified. Everyone's fully justified. Okay. Bam, 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 bam. Both of these horizontal boxes go in here. So this is the horizontal boxes for the information. And of course this can now go in the middle. Actually no, it can't. It needs to be like this. This will be set to fill in the center. Let's get the border top is auto. This is auto. Don't want this. Let's get rid of this for a second. Border top no longer has anything to dictate its size because it is a panel. So what would be best, because we've changed the makeup of this, is just to replace it with an image. And then the image can have a size. Just like this. Images color can be that kind of, that just like slightly off gray. And we never changed that, right? So this is just image top. Border fill doesn't technically need to be a border now, could also be an image. I think image is probably a little bit cheaper, so we'll probably just replace it. Place with image, please. There. Going blind. Image fill. Make sure that we're using our loop fill coloring here. Come back into our graph. When we compile, we might get some errors, right? Image fill. Get dynamic material. Put that down. Control clicking on these wires to move them around. Compile. No, still not happy, apparently. Fresh. Get dynamic. Get dynamic material. Oh, okay. Oh, right, I compiled that time. Okay, and then we can show our dots. Boom. Which are behind the text, but in front of. Yeah, so I could just go vertical box BG and vertical box details. Okay. As long as we wrap this in an invalidation panel, we're not animating anything, so it should be all good. Now I want to just like basically put some opacity into this. So back in the material for these dots, let's get UI circle. So this is an SDF circle from the Unreal Material Lab, and I'm just going to get the UVs and multiply them by get an append in here, get an append vector, get an S, get a circle X and a circle Y. Okay. Circle X and circle Y. We'll multiply these by 1. So I'm going to take the fill, I think, the SDF. Just the fill is probably fine. Just multiply that by 1. View this node. So we've got this. We should be able to now sort of like play with this. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do that differently. Put that in here. One by one. Then I can say 2. Size is a scalar. Why? Why would you do this to me? Why? Why? Okay, so undo all of that. Size. Scale. UVs by center. Scale. UVs. 2. There we go. And rotate it. So custom rotator. I want to rotate this S circle angle 30 divided by 360 to turn it into 0 to 1 space. Plug that in here, and now we have this. Then I want to have circle glow min and circle glow max. And by default, these will have some variables. I'm just going to assume that they are 1. Theo, what's up, bud?
What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm still working on this thing. Look at this. I made this shape.
Dad, why when I go right here really close to you, it doesn't see me? And when I'm right close to you, you can see me.
Fancy. Say hi. You are famous.
Hi, you are famous.
You're a smart kid.
I'm a smart kid.
You don't need to copy me now.
You can copy me now.
Circle fade.
Circle fade.
I am a brilliant, invested young mind.
Not say that.
You cannot say that? Okay, just say, I'm real smart.
Come on.
Okay, circle fade. Yeah, so we're just going to...
Okay,
I've got an echo. Okay, so... circle fade. We're going to multiply the dots by the circle fade, which at the moment is inverted. I do need to go 1 minus it, but you can see here now we have this cool shape. What I can do is I can just 1 minus this. Now we have this, which means I just need to play with some of these variables a little bit more. So 0.4, 1, 2, 2, 1. We'll go with that for a second. I do have an instance of this. So now we've got these dots like just in the corners, which is neat. Glow, circle. I need to go and work on this material once I look how many. So we've got all these variables now. We're getting to this problem where it's really difficult to play with the variables. So let's come in here and we'll say angle, add, power, multiply. That's all a group that we'll call color. Then we've got the SDF box. So what does this do? Frame? We're not using frame. That's an old thing. Okay, then we've got this, which is dots. So we'll put this in a group called dots. You could put this into a material function as well. It's quite a neat little one. Although what I would do is I would recode this in the blueprint graph. I would use this as a reference for math. I would put it back into the blueprint graph and then have it as a material function rather than using HLSL, because one of the guys at UX is Fine recently found a resource that said HLSL does not collapse in a way that these blueprint nodes do for compile time. So it's actually more optimal, less cycles, right, per pixel and things like that, when you just write this out in the graph, because Unreal will collapse a whole bunch of it down into a more optimized method. So right now we can see we've got 89 instructions on this. It's not too, if it's less than 100, I'm okay with it, but it will be even less if this was done correctly, basically. 3 nodes. Okay, and then so we've got these. Let's just put all these inside circle. Pile that and go back to our material. Now we've got these 3 categories. This needs to go in color as well. Cool. So now I want to play with the, save everything. I want to play with the circle angle. So you could even move this. You could animate this at runtime now, and it would like basically do this cool sort of shimmer. Which I'm actually going to go and do because it's really cool. So the way that you do that is you take your fill. That's not my fill. This is my fill. I'm going to add an animation that's just called, just call it shimmer. Add this in here, take the image, add the material, add the property, which is, oh, I did it on the wrong thing. I did it on the wrong one. We need to do it on dots, guys. We need to do it on dots. This one. Right click, replace with dots. Add on here. Now we've got all these. So it's circle, angle. And then I'm just going to say that over 3 seconds, it maybe over 5 seconds, it just does a 360, right? It's open. So I just, wait, what? We start at 45 and end at 360 plus 45. And when we play that, we get this like nice slow spin. Looks pretty cool. What else do we want to do with this? Just lower the opacity a little bit. It's a little bit too bright right now. Put it down. Keep it tasteful. Color of those dots though. Color of those dots is a problem. We will need to run this code on these dots. Otherwise those dots are going to be orange. And also, oh wait a sec, did that? It's illegible. I can't see the bottom text color anymore. Why is that? Something went wrong. I think when I changed the build to an image, it lost my darkening that I did. And my fading. So I did also fade it out a little bit. So you can see the background. You can actually see the weapon through it as well, which is super cool. Got these nice little blue dots in the corners. Yeah, that's a weapon pop-up on our stream. It worked out that time. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes less than well. I think that calls it for now. As always, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have suggestions, definitely leave those in the comments. I'm always looking for things to be inspired by. There's nothing but awesome stuff in the world of UI. I'm going to play that material animation before I stop it. Because that is not playing. And I don't think there's a way of telling this to be play by default. Like autoplay. This is this one. So you have to do blueprint code. Animations, shimmer, play. Number of loops, 0. Event graph. Just move this down. Event construct. Put that in there. What else I want to do? Oh. I want to add legendary. And if it's legendary, I'm going to do something to the frame. Again, I've just played with the angle of the frame, so now it like the whole outside like glows. But what I'll also do is I'll add another property to here, which will be the stroke thickness. I'll add a little animation to that as well. So yeah, that's cool, and we've already got a function that's like on rarity updated, right? So then at the end here I just say branch rarity is, in this case I guess, equal to legendary, and then I want to play that animation if it's rare. New enumerator, sorry, legendary, play animation, play animation, and then I'll say that's 0, and down here I'll just stop the animation. It's not legendary, so we don't want to do cool things if it's legendary, but what we will need to do is take that frame, the border edge, get dynamic material. We'll need to reset that frame rotation. Set scalar parameter value for the, I think it was just angle. And we also need to set thickness to whatever the default was, which you might want to cache this, I guess, because this is not great. 0.0.0.045. Oh, no, and it's called stroke thickness, not just thickness. Compile. Let's go look at some legendary frames. No, but you can see that the green dots are doing their little animation. It's nice. It's cute. Okay, so this frame is like spinning and doing stuff. It's doing more stuff than the previous thing did. The tick is throttled though, I've noticed. Or the retainer on the blur is causing the border edge to sort of jitter as it comes in and out. Just like immediately can see it. It's not very obvious, but it is there. So I wouldn't do that in a final version. I would love to add particles to this. So I'm going to enable the particle system, blueprint particle systems at some point. There's one more thing that's bothering me, and it's the padding here. Oh. Weapon. Should really go in dear. this one's not going to work. This one's not going to work, everybody, because this isn't in the right frame. These are 512 by 256. These are 1024 by 1024. Yeah, it's not going to work. And then we've got all these statuses, we've got resources, we've got all kinds of things, but they're all in the wrong space. I need to come up with a better material, basically, that essentially crop and fills into the material. Something interesting for this last one. I mean, a sword is pretty cool. Details, loot widget, ammo, whatever. It says ammo right now, but it's going to be different. Shoddy cups. It's weird. Done something wrong. Because, oh, I know what's happening. It's getting the first overlapped element, and because I'm still overlapping this one. Interesting. But still, who's gonna know, right? It's like, it's just a test. So this is the Shoddy Cups, this is the Super Blaster, this is the Hammer of Nope, and this is the Super Blaster. Hammer of Nope. So this Hammer of Nope needs to actually be a hammer. Skeletal mesh. Actually have a hammer in this asset library. The sci-fi. Oh right, yeah. It's a sci-fi HUD, but it doesn't come with the assets. I do have the assets, I just don't have them right now. Yeah, pretty cool. Thanks for joining. That was like the longest outro you get. Actually, I've got one more thing. I've got to keep going. I can't stop. I can't stop. UX is fine. FPS input, ping, IA equip. Save. VS Yuxif add. Equip. A. Sorry, E. J. Action is equip. So if you rebind it, all good. Don't worry about it. Rebind that action. Bam, bam, bam. Nice. Okay, I'm happy with that. I am definitely done. Can play more with that in the future. So thanks very much for joining. As always, we'll see you in the next one. Tomorrow we're going to do the beams, and then we're going to make a cannon that shoots all the guns out onto the floor, and probably improve the interaction, because right now it's just faked through these volumes, and we want an actual interaction view. So yeah, cool. See you in a bit.